But the biggest thing here that stood out to me was this play call that we're all talking about. Late in the game, in overtime, I should say, driving at about the 12-yard line with the opportunity to simply tie this game. The Rams instead went for it on 4th and 1, and they ran it up the gut. What did you think?
I did not disagree with the decision to go for it. I mean, at that point, the Rams had already converted on 2 former 4th downs. You're at home. You'd rather go for the win when you're at home than anything else. I don't have any problem with the decision to go for it, Fitz. I did, however, have a problem with the play call. Now, I do understand, and I couch every time I'm, an armchair coordinator or an armchair coach the day after, that I don't evaluate decisions to go for it or any risky decisions based off of the outcome. I always evaluate decisions based on, if I put myself in Sean McVay's shoes, what would I do? Because just because it works doesn't mean it's the right decision, and vice versa. Just because it didn't work didn't mean it was the wrong decision. Right decision to go for it, wrong play call. You're just going to run it up the middle against this absolute brick wall of, albeit a short-handed 49ers front seven, but still just ran it right into a brick wall when Matthew Stafford has been slinging all day long. When the most reliable piece and most trustworthy piece of your offense and of your team is Matthew Stafford and his arm. And I know throwing it on 4th and 1 probably isn't customary. That probably doesn't feel very kosher, but feel of the game and knowing your team and knowing your quarterback, I think, is incredibly important. I don't think anybody does that better than Sean McVay. I just felt like he overthought it. I felt like he got too cute with it. I felt like he just thought too much about it when it felt so obvious that if you're going to go for it there, you go with the hot hand, and the hot hand was Matthew Stafford. I agree with the 4th and 1 call. I don't agree with the play call.
A little surprised, too, that when the play call came in, Stafford didn't change it at the line of scrimmage, certainly as long as he's played in the league and the autonomy he has in that offense. I will say, for many defenders, over the last 3 seasons, nobody in the NFL actually does better on 4th and 1 than the Rams. 92% conversion rate on 4th and 1 attempts over the last 3 years, which is very impressive. That being said, I hated going for it. I absolutely hated going for it because there's too much on the line. As we wake up today, let's be very clear, the Rams are now a game back from the 49ers, with the 49ers having today the tiebreaker edge. We could have woken up today with the 2 teams tied in the standings. For the rest of the year, the Rams will be chasing the outcome of this game. Now, maybe it normalizes over the course of the season, and all of us sit here and say, well, we don't want to see another game end in a tie. Okay, at the end of the year, what do you want to see? You want to see your team in first place. How do you get there? I don't want to bog anybody down with details here, but a tie is actually better in the standings than a loss. You had a very easy field goal. Now, I know an extra point was blocked earlier, and the Rams have had their issues. So these are all the concerns. I can hear Rams screaming as they're watching this on social media or wherever you're watching our show right now. I hear those screams. But at the end of the day, you lost. You lost the game. And this is the modern NFL. We've gotten so cavalier with 4th and short that even when teams are backed up deep in their own end, they decide to go for it. And there is just ripple consequence to that. I understand that the analytics will tell you to go for it. I also understand that the Rams lost the football game. And yet again, Sean McVay lost to Kyle Shanahan. And it feels like all of this air comes out because you couldn't survive the game. As bad as a tie feels to all of us watching, it's an allowable outcome by the NFL for a reason. So I look at this situation, even though it was at the 12-yard line, the same I would have looked at it as if it's at the 45-yard line. If you have the opportunity to tie the game and live to see another week, you tie the game and live to see another week. It's, to me, the mentality that we've gotten to with 4th downs and going for it on 4th downs and avoiding the opportunity to kick and then playing this cavalier at the end of a game that you could have tied. Man, how often do we walk into the last week of the regular season and it's down to one game? It's down to one drive. Well, if we end up at the end of the year and the Rams are in the final week of the season and they need a win to make the playoffs or a win for their seeding, whatever their situation might be, instead of making it about that one play or that one game, let's come back to this one and remind ourselves that the Rams could have put themselves statistically in a different situation with an easy field goal.
You say if you put yourself in a position to tie, or if you can put yourself in a position to tie, you take it. I could push back and say if you can put your team in a position to win, you take that opportunity to win. And I do hear you. A tie is better than a loss. A win is also better than a tie. And so I think just understanding the context of where it is right now, I think Sean McVay understood, look, we are at home. We're playing an incredibly shorthanded 49ers team. Why not just go for it? I feel like if I'm Sean McVay, I can sleep at night knowing that I did everything in my power to help my team win. And we didn't. And that's frustrating. And we heard it from Sean McVay in the post-game press conference that he was incredibly frustrated and he was mad at himself for that 4th-and-1 play call. He took accountability for it. And I think as a coach, that's all you can do. But you can sleep at night knowing that you tried to get a win. Can you sleep at night knowing that, hey, we ended in a tie, and yes, I'm a half a game back versus, a full game back, but what if? What if I just would have tried to go for it? It was 4th-and-1. You had it right there. If it's 4th-and-6, it's a completely different story. But with 4th-and-1, when you've converted 2 of your 4th down attempts during that game,
but even if you convert
I just couldn't justify it.
You convert it, you're still at the 11-yard line. It's not like it was a touchdown. You're still going to have to go and continue to get more yards to try and win the game. At which point,
but
any
you
bad thing
live
can happen.
To die another down at that point.
Or you just take the time. Let me say this: there was one incredibly positive thing I think we can agree on. Mac Jones was a lightning rod last night. Like, Mac Jones was everything that you would ever hope that Mac Jones could be in one game. And I just sat here and I thought, my God, I don't know if it's just sitting at the table next to Kyle Shanahan. I don't know if it's having a little bit of pudding with him. I don't know what the secret is. But whatever is happening with quarterbacks that are in the same room as Kyle Shanahan, good God, Mac Jones looked like a different human last night.
I mean, just as we scripted it out, Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne and Jake Tungus and I had it in my notes somewhere. Exactly who we thought was going to be the savior of this game, right? Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne, the 2 dynamic quarterback receiver duo from New England, right? Yeah, no, of course not. Mac Jones, I think, put on a clinic, and he showed to the world, look, I'm not just a backup anymore. Whether that is truly what he is or what he isn't, he showed us that last night. I think we have to have a serious conversation about Kyle Shanahan and his ability to develop quarterbacks. And I know we've already had that conversation. We already know that Kyle Shanahan is a quarterback whisperer and is an offensive genius because he got to the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think anyone views either of those 2 guys, and no disrespect to those 2 guys, they're not world beaters and they're not elite quarterbacks. And look at Sam Darnold. We talk a lot about how Sam Darnold went from seeing ghosts with the Jets and being miserable with the Panthers to all of a sudden turning around and winning 14 games in Minnesota. We give KOC a lot of credit for that. Like we should, rightfully so. KOC is also a quarterback whisperer and an offensive genius. I think we conveniently forget that Sam Darnold also did have a cup of coffee with the 49ers. That maybe that 14-win season in Minnesota isn't possible without his stopover in San Francisco, without being under the tutelage of Kyle Shanahan, that we now have Jimmy Garoppolo, Sam Darnold, Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, whether it's, career makers or career renaissances, all at the hands of that man right there.
Yeah, there is something changing. And for anyone that hasn't seen Mac Jones' numbers, 3 games, completing 67% of his passes, 900 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, QB rating of 99. He is putting up starter caliber numbers. And right now, I know it's a small body of work, but every time he gets on the field, you just got to feel like somebody next year that's looking around that needs a quarterback is going to say, hey, the next reclamation project is Mac Jones, and Kyle Shanahan is finding the answer. Whatever he's doing, and not only is Mac Jones something that that teams will consider, but whatever Shanahan is doing, everybody in the league needs to start copying.